launching our latest report, the second edition of the evolution of tech governance in C6. A key question we explore is how are governments keeping pace with rapid developments in the digital economy? And a major contribution of the second edition is its focus on governance, not only on who regulates and what is it, but also on how governance is structured, because we know that governance is more than just policies and regulations. It encompasses the structures, processes, and administrative considerations involved in the exercise of government authority. By moving beyond an understanding of who the regulators are and what their regulation entail, toward a more holistic perspective of governance, we aim to offer insights into the broader direction of the region's approach to the digital ecosystem. So if you are interested, please visit our website to get the full report. A Bahasa Indonesia version of the executive summary can also be downloaded from our website. Later, my colleague Keith will present the key findings of the report together with Pak Hafiz, who will also spotlight the key developments in Indonesia. However, our goal today is not just to share our research from a regional perspective, but more importantly, we also would like to hear from you and to get a better understanding of Indonesia's context and also perspective. We know that Indonesia's digital economy is expanding at an extraordinary pace, projected to exceed $130 billion by 2025, and potentially at $2.8 trillion by 2040, driven by over 180 million smartphone users and nearly 80% internet penetration. So this is such a huge potential. As Indonesia pursues its ambitious 2045 digital vision through AI, fintech, e-commerce, and digital infrastructure, we seek to understand what fit-for-purpose governance approaches should be implemented to enable responsible digital growth while reinforcing online trust and protecting Indonesia's digital society. Fortunately, we have leading experts with us later today to help unpack what those responsive policies should be. In a panel discussion, our esteemed representatives from the Ministry of Communication and Digital Affairs, the Indonesian Data Protection Practitioners Association or APPDI, Grab Indonesia, and Bahar Law and Consulting will be sharing their insights. Conversations such as today's reflect the kind of partnerships needed to address challenges and unlock opportunities in Indonesia's digital transformation. We hope today's discussion will generate actionable insights on building online trust, strengthening data governance, and fostering collaborative approaches. And lastly, cooperation among governments and alignment between the public, private, and people sectors are vital in fostering an investable, innovative, and inclusive environment for sustainable growth in Indonesia. Jadi Bapak Ibu, mungkin ini terdengar klise, tapi saya ingin emphasize ini bahwa kolaborasi itu adalah kunci bagi kita semua untuk bisa membangun, menciptakan iklim yang lebih inklusif, lebih inovatif, lebih ramah terhadap investasi, sehingga kita bisa mendorong pertumbuhan Indonesia yang lebih berkelanjutan. I thank you, terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mbak Citra, for the opening remarks. Following this, we will have the opening remarks by Ms. Martia Litna, Head of Communications and Learning Hub from Center for Indonesian Policy Studies. Ms. Martia, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Can I hear your voice? Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Yeah, we will have a very exciting discussion, so I need you to pump up your energy so we can have a very good discussion today. So it is a great pleasure to be here today, the second day of DigiWeek, and thank you to all of you who are joining here in person at the Art Hotel Mangkuluhur and also online. My name is Martia Litna, and today I'm representing Mr. Anton Rizky, our CEO at the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies. Bapak Ibu, as a think tank, CIPS believes in the power of multi-stakeholders collaborations. As Ibu Citra also mentioned before, we think that collaboration is helping to build a more prosperous Indonesia. And CIPS, we do this by providing policy recommendations based on research and data analysis. CIPS DigiWeek itself is also one of our efforts to bring together insights from governments, the private sectors, academics, and the public. And with the theme this year, shared responsibility, redefining stakeholders' roles in the digital era, the 3-day event aims to not only to inspire practical actions from all stakeholders, but also to raise public awareness on key issues in the digital space in Indonesia. We are especially honored to partner today with the Tech for Good Institute. And I believe this is also a strong example of how shared responsibility goes beyond our local circle and reaches across the regional level. And thank you for the Tech for Good Institute team for making time to fly to Jakarta. I know you have a very busy travel schedule across ASEAN, and it's very nice to have you here. And today, we will have a more interactive discussions on the theme around online user safety and rights. We will discuss about the importance of data governance for enhancing digital trust. Building digital trust requires strong data governance with clear rules to protect user privacy, security, and rights. In Indonesia, this means designing policies that support technology growth, but also protect public interest. We also need to address challenges in enforcing the personal data protection law, such as data breaches, and explore how co-regulations between stakeholders can strengthen trust in our digital ecosystem. So I hope today's discussion can lead to concrete recommendations to support a safer and more trusted digital environment in Indonesia. Thank you once again for being part of the effort. And let's continue working together for a better digital future in Indonesia. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan.
Thank you, Bu Martia, for the welcoming remarks. Now, before we moving on to our next agenda, I would like to remind you a few things. Okay, so DigiWeek is an open and safe space for all. Therefore, we really encourage you to actively participate in our discussions. And the main outcomes of CIPS DigiWeek will be summarized in our policy communique that can be downloaded a week after the DigiWeek ends. CIPS also provides interpreters, both on site and on Zoom. So if you need the devices, it's available in the registration desk, or you can activate the translation feature on your Zoom account. We hope today's session will be run smoothly and provide benefits for all of us. Now, we will begin our discussions with the theme of Indonesia's Digital Leap, Improving Data Governance and Reinforcing Online Trust. This session is quite unique because we will have some presenters to share their insights regarding this topic. And we have the pleasure to cooperate with CIPS DigiWeek knowledge partner, Tech for Good Institute, who share the same mission to raise understanding of informed policy in the digital economy to advance inclusive and sustainable growth. We will start the session with a series of findings from TFGI and CFDS. Therefore, now I would like to present Mr. Keith Detros, Program Manager from Tech for Good Institute, to share his insights. Mr. Keith, the place is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Ansela, and good morning. Good morning, everybody. A really a pleasure to be here as part of DigiWeek. Today, I will be sharing with you one of our recent studies at the Tech for Good Institute, and hopefully you get some key takeaways about what we do and what are the coverage of our the topics that we cover across the region. In the next few minutes, I'll provide you an overview of the report that we did, which is Tech Governance in Southeast Asia, and share some considerations for Southeast Asia's digital ecosystem moving forward. There we go. However, let me set the stage first. This study, again, is about the tech regulations and tech governance in Southeast Asia. We have been doing this for the second straight year. In 2023, we did a review of what are the key developments and what are the key policies across the region. And then in 2024, we are doing the same thing, but this is now towards governance approaches. Think of it if you are a researcher, a policymaker, or someone with interest in digital or tech policy in the region. This can be a useful resource to give you an understanding and give you an overview of how countries are approaching digital technologies in the region, or governance of digital technologies in the region. But of course, we could not do this without our partners. As mentioned earlier, we thank you. We thank the CIPS team for hosting us today. And at the same time, we had different partners from across Southeast Asia, NXPO in Thailand, a think tank in Malaysia, the ISIS in Malaysia, CFDS in Indonesia, of course, SMU in Singapore, just to name a few of who are our partners in terms of coming up with this report. So let me set the stage first. Southeast Asia as a whole, as you know, is undergoing rapid digital transformation. And across the region, we have noticed the rapid rise of digital economy as a key driver of economic growth as a whole. Our GMV value, for example, from 2015 to present, have evolved to hundreds of billions of dollars within the last decade. And it has sustained double-digit growth since 2022. Today, the digital economy contributes between 6 to 23% of our GDPs in the region. And in Indonesia, it also figures very significantly with your economic growth. As Southeast Asia, however, continues to grow, there seems to be a shift in focus on how we are treating digital technologies. When I started in the sector, in the region, initially it was a saying of move fast, break things. And this was popularized just because we needed to adopt digital technologies rapidly. However, in 2024, a lot of challenges has become clear. We are seeing key other challenges such as misinformation, cyber threats, and workforce disruption. And what we have been seeing is that there's a shift in the thinking of policymakers, of governments, of stakeholders in the digital economy, of not just to move fast, break things, but to move faster, but fix things. This is where there is an essence of using technology to leverage technological and digital solutions to address developmental, social, and economic challenges. And this is taking place amidst the local and the global pressures in the region. First, there are national priorities, and it includes areas such as domestic digital economic growth, job creation, investment targets, and alignment with legal traditions. There are also global geopolitics. The US-China geopolitical competition, the trade war are some of the things that we can talk about while discussing tech policies in the region. But at the same time, there are also some issues of sustainability where climate change, the green transition, remain to be an area of competitive advantage if you have or you can unlock these things in Southeast Asia. This speaks to how complex it is really to have tech governance in the region. But across 2024, what the Tech for Good Institute did and what we released in our paper is we scanned what are the policies, what are the governance that has approaches that has come out at least in 2024. And we focused our findings into three key areas. In the region, across the region, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, Philippines, Vietnam, all of those countries have AI governance, have cybersecurity and data protection policies, and have safety and trust initiatives that has been forwarded at least in 2024. This is where we will feel like we are all traveling in Southeast Asia right now. Let's imagine like there's a rock, we'll skip a rock because we'll probably bounce from one country to another just to highlight key policy developments across the region. First, on AI governance. One thing I would like to share is that at least the AI readiness in the region is above global average. For Indonesia, for example, check. It's above not only global average, but it's middle of the pack, or at least at par with some of our countries in terms of AI readiness in the region. These are some of the key AI governance developments in 2024. Let me point out to a few. For example, in Singapore, there have been an update on the Model AI Governance Framework on generative AI. I think this is the third update that they did. There was one in 2019, another one in 2023, and they updated it again in 2024. And what was the key difference here is that they added the word generative, or they tackled a different issue, because as we all know, AI has been here for a long time, but of course it also is evolving. With generative AI becoming one of the key booms in late 2023 or 2024, and thus there was an update on key policies in AI governance. In Malaysia, for example, they have a different focus, which is on digital skilling for AI, and they released their AI for Rakyat, and it was focused towards how to prepare the workforce and the digital society for an AI future. Let me point to Indonesia, which is very interesting, because I think in Indonesia, AI regulations is still continuing and developing. There are discussions of having some hard and binding regulations for AI, which is different from all approaches across the region. The region has some initiatives towards softer regulations, frameworks, and codes of conduct, ethical principles. Even the ASEAN AI guidelines as well is non-binding and voluntary, but it's super interesting in Indonesia, which I think our experts later, or our expert later, will deep dive into in the Indonesia context. But that's for AI governance. One thing we can take away from our report is that across the region, AI remains to be one of the transformative emerging technologies that people are thinking about, and they're trying to balance between the misuse and the misuses of AI. Misuse is when we don't leverage AI enough so that it can help us in our developmental challenges, and the misuse is when we are not having proper guardrails to ensure that AI is used for good. Another key area that Southeast Asia is developing on is on building resilience through cybersecurity and data protection. There has been a focus on resiliency and updating laws across cybersecurity. There's a move towards implementation of data protection laws, and at the same time, there is also the capability development and capability aspect of protection and safety. Let's move, for example, to the Philippines. The Philippines recently updated their national cybersecurity plan to specifically focus on critical infrastructure. So they identified some of the critical infrastructures in the region and updated some key guidelines to ensure that these infrastructures are continually safe from emerging cyber threats. Again, Indonesia also has a very interesting landscape. The PDP law in Indonesia was passed 2 years ago, lapsed into implementation last year, but there are still areas and rooms for improvement on regulatory clarity, on specific provisions and specific clauses, and what that means for the businesses as well as the private sector and the public sector as well. And I'd like to emphasize as well ASEAN. ASEAN as a whole has also announced the operational launch of the ASEAN Regional Computer Emergency Response Team, or CERT. It's co-located in Singapore, the ASEAN Singapore Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. The CERT facility aims to enhance collective cybersecurity efforts and improve incident response capabilities across the region. So this is the second snapshot that I'm sharing about how each of the countries in the region are actually developing cyber resiliency and data protection policies. Third, and very related to our topic today, is promoting safety and trust. There are shifting narratives right now where being cyber secure is not the same meaning as cyber safe, and that's two different things that we are thinking about. Being secure can be from a technical aspect. You cannot be hacked, you cannot be, your data is secure, your data is private. But being safe is a different conversation as a whole, because even if you are secure, where your technical standards are up to par, you have your passwords in order, you can still become victim of bullying, for example, online. You can still be victim of scams and fraud online, where you willingly and openly give your data to somebody. It's a different conversation from being secure and being safe. And I think in the region, there's a lot of conversation about that key difference, because understanding the differences in the problem also informs us how we can tackle it specifically. And thus, safety is becoming an issue, becoming a more prudent a topic across the region, and thus it comes towards some targeted approach. At the same time, there are also some new policies coming up, not only in not in Indonesia, but also across the region in terms of online marketplaces, for example. Let's go through some of them. For example, Vietnam has some initiatives related to their digital development and safety under their master plan, which also includes some reorganization of their key government agencies. I'd like to point out Thailand. Thailand is interesting. In 2024, they created just a court for cybercrime, where there's a special court, or only if you face some issues for scams, frauds, or cybercrime, there's a special court that you go to. The Philippines did it in, I think, if I'm not wrong, 2018 or 2019, which they did. But this is for that there's dedicated resources because of the spike. I think you guys are familiar with the spike in digitally enabled crime and cybercrime. So there's that spike, and I think one of the key things that they wanted to do was have a dedicated court. Singapore has a shared responsibility framework, which is in line with the theme of DigiWeek. This is where banks and telcos and the local law enforcement are actually have now guardrails and guidelines, I should say, guidelines, so that they can work together and the roles and responsibilities are clear. The Philippines also has a similar one, which is the Anti-Financial Scamming Act, which clarifies the relationship of a telco, a bank, and the law enforcement when something bad happens, who does what or who does what at what point in time. And these are very interesting parts of tech governance in Southeast Asia. So again, across the region, AI governance, cybersecurity and data protection, and promotion of safety and trust. But that's the what. What is the region thinking about or looking at? Important to note is how they're doing it as well. A few things to note. There's a lot of renaming of agencies, which reflects the country's priorities and thinking about Southeast Asia. Let's start with Indonesia for sure. Indonesia changed its name from ComInfo to ComDG. And DG, the digital affairs, is really an interesting part of it, because it's not now only infrastructure driven, it's the digital affairs where you can capture blockchain, quantum, 5G, Web3. So that's a little bit of a different framing about what are digital affairs rather than information, which can also be a little too towards the infrastructure. But of course, our representative can be the ones to be more explaining about these changes. Singapore, for example, also changed their name. They changed their name from Ministry of Communications and Information to Ministry of Digital Development. So this is more towards the idea that the digital economy is not mainly technical, but is actually grounded towards national development goals as well, which tries to track towards concerted effort of using and leveraging digital solutions and digital technologies. And in Malaysia, they shift and they split their ministry. It was previously a Ministry of Communications and Digital, only one ministry for both. And now they split it, one Ministry of Communications, one Ministry of Digital. And this relies on a key focus that the digital affairs in the region also needs dedicated resources, a dedicated focus only for the leveraging of the digital economy and the digital future of the country. So the changes, reorganization, and renaming of names is also a great signaling how countries are trying to govern emerging technologies. One key country to look at is Vietnam. Vietnam is currently undergoing massive government reorganization as they're trying to streamline which offices would take care of digital governance. I think it's within this year that they will have a little bit more clarity. We were in Vietnam last week presenting the same study, and there were discussions about how reorganization really is part of this, trying to clarify government roles and responsibilities to cope with emerging technologies. Not only are countries and country governments or country ministries being renamed, there are also new agencies that are being set up. For example, Malaysia has established their own national AI office just to focus on AI governance. Singapore has established an AI Safety Institute just to focus on AI safety. But these are AI offices only. There are also other offices that are springing up. Philippines has an e-commerce bureau, for example. And I mentioned earlier, Thailand had the cybercrime court as a new establishment as well. I'll focus more towards some greater coordination across agencies where there were national, subnational, and whole of government coordinations. But there are also some shifting capacity development. I'd like to focus on the last point there, which is the shifting to the capability development. One thing we have learned is that traditionally non-tech regulators or tech policies, ministries, tech policy ministries, are increasingly being asked to support digital transformation. Example, the Ministries of Education in Thailand is being tasked to train an AI-ready workforce. The Ministry of Education and Training, I think, in Vietnam also has the same mandate, where they are trying to develop and incorporate new digital skills, upskilling, reskilling for the digital economy. So it's not just your info, it's not just your Ministry of Information, Communications, or Ministry of Trade that are being asked to release policies related to the digital economy, but your traditionally non-tech focused or non-digital focused ministries, such as education, for example, are being tasked to do so. Finally, policy innovation areas. There are a few policy innovations in Southeast Asia, but I'll just focus on sandboxes. There have been a few updates on policy sandboxes in the region, including privacy-enhancing technologies, digital assets, for example, and financial services. Let me just finish off with key takeaways. We have shared very, very quickly what is happening in Southeast Asia and how they're approaching it. And there are two key themes that we are seeing across the region. And I boil it down to two Ps. The balancing is on two ends of protection and promotion. Governments are trying, at least in the region, to promote the digital economy, which is one side of the coin. But at the same time, increasingly, because of the challenges, the protection of the digital society is also becoming very apparent. So that's the digital economy and the digital society. And those two things are key areas where governments across the region try to converge or are converging in terms of priorities. But there are also differences. Again, as you can see earlier, policy approaches are different. For example, there are countries that are thinking more of hard laws and binding regulations. Other countries prefer more soft regulations as well as voluntary approaches. There's also policy implementation challenges. Some, because of the legal traditions, structures, as well as the differences in government configurations, policy implementation is different or varies across the region. And this is where some challenges is because of changing responsibilities as well as knowledge asymmetry. Knowledge asymmetry here refers to the threats that are known and unknown. Today, as of right now, we might be talking about AI and data governance. Tomorrow, it could be, I don't know, a technology we have not yet thought of, quantum, Web3, or something might come out already next year that we have still not, we did not really think about. And so, as we go towards looking ahead for Southeast Asia and the region, the report offers a few recommendations on a few things. First is regulatory clarity, which is important in this ever-changing digital landscape. As we continue to grow, as we continue to, as an economy, as we continue to grow as an economy, and as we continue to experience digital solutions firsthand, regulatory clarity becomes more important. This is for the private sector to be able to know what to do, but at the same time to be able to have the freedom to innovate regardless of the changing tech landscape. Second, aligning governance approaches can bridge digital divides. There are a few areas of collaborations. If you don't know where to start, the Tech for Good Institute identified some areas of convergence, which is on AI governance, cybersecurity, and promotion of safety and trust. There are key issues already that all of Southeast Asia is working towards, and those can be small building blocks towards greater cooperation. And at the same time, this is where I had a conversation this morning about, is there a regional aspect to all of this? This is where priorities such as DEFA, or the Digital Economy Framework Agreement, or key initiatives from the ASEAN Secretariat can also help to bridge the divides in terms of policy implementation. I will stop my presentation here. Our report is available online. This is just a teaser of what we have been doing. We're doing it again this year for 2025, and we are keen to share again with you what we are seeing in the region. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions about the report or the tech policy in the region, the Tech for Good Institute is here to be able to answer your questions. Appreciate your minutes of, appreciate your time for listening to my presentation. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Keith, for the wonderful presentation. Now we will continue with a short sharing session from Mas Hafiz Nur. He is coming from Center for Digital Society, UGM. Mas Hafiz, the stage is yours.
Selamat pagi, good morning everyone. Firstly, I would like to thank TFGI for inviting CFDS for contributing to the written articles. And secondly, I would like to thank CIPS as well for inviting us and also to host this DigiWeek event. I think more and more conversations regarding digital transformation or digital ecosystem is of necessity for us to shape our future of digital ecosystem. Okay, so my name is Hafiz Nur. I'm the head of research at the Center for Digital Society. So we are part of Universitas Gadjah Mada, located in Jogja. And here, actually, for the report, I was helped by my research assistant, Irfan, but he's not here due to his work as well. So I'd like to thank Irfan for the help as well. So I think the presentation here consists of two parts. First is obviously from a meta perspective, we see the shifting of government. I think Keith has already mentioned from Cominfo to ComDG, but what's in it? I think that would be mostly covered up in the first part of the presentation, and then secondly, in terms of the regulations and sectoral regulations pertaining to our digital development here in Indonesia. Next, please. Okay, so as a background, I think some of you know already that Indonesia, under Prabowo Gibran's administration, is aiming for 8% economic growth. And this shifted the landscape of our digital ecosystem, particularly digital economy, to which the policies and strategies are directed towards on how to achieve that that 8% economic growth. And a number of changes in governance and regulations and bodies have also apparent. We have seen that very much cabinets, ministries, and also agencies. And in the digital economy and in digital ecosystem as well, I think we have seen significant development from Cominfo to ComDG. Next slide. The governance structure of digital transformation. So as highlighted by Keith, Cominfo turns into ComDG. But what's in it for Cominfo turning into ComDG? I think, and also other scholars as well agree that this marks a significant change in terms of the reorientation of our digital ecosystem from traditional technology to digital technology. So by stating that ComDG serves as the digital, this also changes the whole infrastructure of governance within the ministry, which we will highlight it in the next slide. And also, Prabowo sees digital technology as a catalyst for cross-sectoral development. As you can see here, digital growth is projected towards industrial downstreaming, renewable energy, public service efficiency. And those sectors are targeted towards that 8% economic growth. Next. Here, I think some of you may know as well, there are significant shifts in terms of structures of Cominfo and ComDG. I think previously we have seen around six echelon one consists of Director Generals, an agency for human resources development. And one thing is that under the current Ministry of Communication and Digital Affairs, some of that responsibilities are expanded towards new Director Generals. For example, we've seen Director General of Digital Ecosystem, which highlights that there's this echelon one that is responsible for our digital ecosystem and the digital space surveillance, which I believe, in my understanding, is to organize or to regulate our behavior in online space. And also with several same echelon like the General Secretariat and also the Human Resources Development Agency. But this internal nomenclature change is not supported by adequate funding coming from the Istana or the presidential office. And also the ministry is still grappling with the new structure internally, and also what we call in Bahasa Indonesia as SOTK, or in English is the new organizational structure and governance, meaning that echelon 1 is already fulfilled and echelon 2 is already fulfilled, but they are lacking of staff. So the staffs is, some of the staffs are not assigned within that specific echelon, and they are lacking of human resources to help shape the policy internally. I don't know the recent developments, but this is composed in early 2025, which highlights the lack of resources under each echelon. Next slide. And STEM education becomes government priority. I think this is very much evident in our education nomenclature as well. Next slide. So the education nomenclature is divided into three: higher education, primary education, and Ministry of Culture. I think we can pass the last ministry. And the government is very much focusing on STEM fields, which is projected to address that 8% economic growth, and also for STEM disciplines to help contribute to shape digital innovation in, for example, downstreaming industry, energy, security, and other sectors. And I think this is very much evident towards our Indonesia Education Endowment Fund, or LPDP, in how they assess and also prioritize these STEM fields other than social sciences related fields. Next. But I think there's this misconception, and also there's this critical juncture towards how we want to develop our STEM fields, and also how does it connect with our industry availability. Obviously, Indonesia is experiencing premature deindustrialization. I think I don't need to elaborate this, but just need to highlight on how our industry is sort of like halted in a way that it's there's no adequate investments in downstreaming industry, and how do you want to connect these STEM graduates to that respective sectors or fields. And I think we think at the center that the focus should go beyond industrial downstreaming, and it's more connected towards how industrial policy in Indonesia works, and how that policy can be shaped into that industrial downstreaming priority. Next. In terms of regulations, I think I would like to share our 2 cents on this, but I think it can be freely concluded through our participants as well. What we observe is that there's a clearer digital technology regulation, or in other words, stricter, I would say. Let's say in artificial intelligence regulation, some of us know that there's this circular letter or on AI ethics, atau surat edaran kecerdasan artificial. It was published in 2023. But so what? The question is that this is a non-legally binding document that asks private sector and also the public sector to adhere to several ethical principles related to AI development. But then, what's in it for the private sector and the public sector that doesn't adhere to that ethical principles? And the government is currently pursuing PP, Peraturan Pemerintah on Artificial Intelligence, to make it stricter, so that the private sector and hopefully the public sector would adhere to that. And the discussion is still going on. Next. Regulations on cybersecurity and resilience. I think what I need to highlight is the child protection in digital spaces, or PP Tunas. I think PP Tunas is currently undergoing conversations or debates in internal ComDG as well, on how they want to shape the child protection regulation. What is lagging is that on how they want to seek for consent, be it from the children and also from their parents as well. Next. I was asked to run very quickly by the runner there, so just going to skip them all. Personal data protection, yes, discussion ongoing on how to discuss the implementing regulation draft atau RPP, and personal data controllers and processors are required to fully comply with the provision of the PDP law. Next slide. I think this would be the last sectoral regulation, the Consumer Protection and Business Competition Regulation, which I wanted to highlight. The very last regulation was back in 98 or 1999. So this is a very outdated one, and the government is currently discussing on this, which highlights certain consumer protection, and also for the employers as well, for the industry as well. They divided several definitions on what it takes of being a consumer and what it takes of being employer in this digital age. And also what's the responsibility bears underneath the consumer and also for the private sector as well. So I think we are expecting to see this coming in 2025 because they included this in under the Prolegnas program Prioritas Legislatif Nasional. So yeah, expected to establish this in end of 2025 if there is no lagging. Next. Yeah, future regulations, projections of digital technology regulation in Indonesia. What we have seen so far is there's an indication that Indonesia is entering a phase of legal maturity to which they know their stance on how to develop this digital regulation. I know that there is some spaces or gaps in the legal implementation and also in the legal frameworks. And I think that is why NGO or think tank like us, CFDS and CIPS and TFGI and other agencies here as well is contributing towards that gaps on the fruitful discussions with the authority if they are asked or invited us to do so. And stricter regulations may lead to stronger protections for the general public, meaning us as the consumer. And this trend is expected to continue with several draft regulations, as I spoke to you earlier, currently under development. But obviously, challenges for industries exist and are acknowledged, for example, on how these legal frameworks are really pushing the industry, but not the government itself, because sometimes the regulations in Indonesia is very strict for private sector, but not for the public sector. That's what we observe so far. And thank you very much for having me once again. And I think we expect later Q&A or discussions after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas Hafiz, for the presentation. Now, without further ado, we will start the panel discussions. Sorry. Therefore, I would like to invite these insightful people to go on stage. Ms. Citra Nasruddin, Program Director from Tech for Good Institute. Mr. Sonny Hendra Sudaryana, Director of Digital Ecosystem Development, Ministry of Communications and Digital Affairs. Ms. Ardhanti Nurwidya, Secretary General of Indonesian Data Protection Practitioners Association APPDI. Mr. Radhi Juniantino, Director of Trust and Safety and from Grab Support Indonesia. And lastly, Mr. Wahyuni Bahar, Principal at Bahar Law and Consulting. Please give a round of applause to this panelists that we have today.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan, and warm greetings to all the esteemed and distinguished colleagues. Welcome to Day 2 of CIPS DigiWeek 2025. We are so honored to host you today at this annual event, whether you are joining us online or in person here at Art Hotel Mangkuluhur, Jakarta. It's truly a pleasure to see many engaged participants ready to explore the critical, thank you so much, Pak, critical issues shaping Indonesia's digital futures. Again, my name is Citra Nasruddin, Program Director at the Tech for Good Institute, or TFGI, and I have the privilege of serving as the moderator for today's panel discussion. Today's session is hosted by the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies, or CIPS, together with the Tech for Good Institute, or TFGI. Our topic today is vital to Indonesia's digital transformation. The title of our panel is Indonesia's Digital Leap, improving data governance and reinforcing online trust. This is important because Southeast Asia, Indonesia included, is undergoing rapid adoption of emerging technologies. And as Kit mentioned earlier, policymakers in the region are establishing a dynamic landscape of tech governance, balancing innovation with regulations. So central to this progress is Indonesia, a key player, a key digital economy player in the region, who is also in the middle of our own digital transformation journey. And ladies and gentlemen, we know that back in 2022, right, the government introduced Personal Data Protection or PDP law, and we see that there are still some areas of improvement that we need to ensure and also to clarify. But more than just data governance, we are going to talk about a larger conversation. Today we want to focus more on two aspects actually. The first one is online trust and the second one is online safety. So trust and safety. We will discuss what does it mean to have a safe and trusted digital economy, and what is the role of stakeholders, as well as what innovative strategies are necessary for Indonesia's digital ecosystem. We are so lucky to have an esteemed panel of experts here joining us today to help us unpack these issues. We are joined by 4 distinguished speakers with diverse expertise. It's my distinct pleasure to introduce our panelists who have joined us this morning. First, we have Pak Sonny Hendra Sudaryana, Director of Digital Ecosystem Development, Ministry of Communication and Digital Affairs, or ComDigi. And then we have Ibu Ardhanti. Ibu Ardhanti, sorry, I need to see my notes. I think it's somewhere here. Sorry about that. We have Ibu Ardhanti Nurwidya, Secretary General of the Indonesian Data Protection Practitioners Association, or APPDI. And then we have Pak Radhi Juniantino, Director of Trust and Safety and Grab Support Indonesia. And lastly, we have Pak Wahyuni Bahar, Principal Bahar Law and Consulting. So, to start the conversation today, I would like to ask questions to Pak Sonny. This is truly a special opportunity for you, Pak Sonny. So we would like to ask one question regarding the one of the initiatives that ComDigi have introduced, but probably just to give context for our participants here, right? We have critical fundamentals here in our country. Indonesia's digital transformation is truly remarkable. Based on the data that we got, there are 180 million smartphone users, nearly 80% internet penetration, and a digital economy projected to exceed $130 billion by 2025. But with this growth comes the critical question: what does online trust mean in Indonesia context, and what are the most pressing risks we need to address? So back again, Pak Sonny, as I mentioned, Indonesia 2045 digital vision for a robust digital ecosystem. Some people may say that is quite ambitious, but then from the government perspective, what are the most critical risks for online safety today, and how is policy responding to build public trust? Jadi resiko apa saja Bapak yang kira-kira sangat besar begitu yang dapat dilihat terhadap keamanan daring, dan bagaimana kemudian kebijakan dari pemerintah bisa hadir untuk kemudian merespon dan membangun kepercayaan publik. Kami persilahkan Bapak.
Ya, makasih pertanyaan. Sebelumnya terima kasih dari CIPS dan serta Tech for Good udah ngundang untuk sharing hari ini. Mungkin santai ya cerita. Pertama mungkin kita the first, is it in English ya?
Yeah,
The-
if you want to speak in Indonesia, you are more comfortable to speak Indonesia, please do so, Pak.
It's okay. The first priority of the minister for the last decade is to build the basic infrastructure. So we cannot talk about data, we cannot talk about digital economy is there no infrastructure basic, the internet connectivity. We started by build how to connect all the main island in Indonesia with fiber optics. We have a major project called Palaparing, connect all the big island in Indonesia. It's around almost 500,000 kilometers cable around Indonesia, like a 9 times around the world. And then the second, we built for the last mile connectivities, 4G connectivity, around 70,000 villages, and around 550,000 BTS, not BTS from Korea, base transmission for the connectivity to your phone, last mile connection. And the last one, we built for the small island, Indonesia, around 17,000 islands. It's very costly to connect them with fiber optics. So we have right now, I think around 10 high throughput satellite, including the last one is Satria 1, already on the orbit. I think will be operate around Q4 this year. That's what we built for the connectivity. And then we also have a basic guiding principle, because the ComDigi is very, as mentioned from CFDS, we change our name, but we also change all the echelon or Directorate General, and one of them is my Directorate General of Ekosistem Digital, focused to build the ecosystem, not only for the how to use the internet for economy, but also how the industries that involve all the stakeholders that involved in the ecosystem can have the value, the positive value of the internet economy. And then the first guiding principle, I think all Indonesians should be equipped with the skill and knowledge and provided with the opportunity to capitalize of the benefit of the digital economy. That's our main guiding principle. And also legal and regulatory frameworks should be implemented and to ensure safety, transparency, and accountability. From that standpoint, back to your question, from the government standpoint, the most critical risk to online safety today is about online scam, misuse of personal data. You also have everyone use a lot of personal data to get a phone number for scam. Jadi KTP-nya dibuat untuk registrasi new number for the use, like one kartu keluarga, family card is usually used by hundreds of phone numbers also. And then the newest challenges is AI generated misinformation, and also cybersecurity threats and targeting in critical infrastructure. Like you already know, our data center last year is breach, and also individual. These risks are amplified by the rapid adoption of the internet because of the connectivity, right? Then increasing participation of the first-time user. Imagine if ComDigi built like a connectivity and someone in that area, the first-time user of the internet, have information such as, oh, you win the lottery or you win a prize. They will percaya sepenuhnya. They will believe that about that information because this is the new one. That's how we protect that kind of user in the Indonesia. And to address these issues, our policy response is rooted by the trust by design. Probably, as you know, it's a culture. my personal experience, it took around 10 years to make customer trust in e-commerce. I think Mbak Ardhanti can talk more about that. And millions of dollars. Usually around 10 years ago, you see a lot of commercial about Tokopedia, Bukalapak. Previously, nobody trusts if I buy online, the product will arrive in my home properly. Nobody believed that. In Casco's time, we usually do the COD. Nobody believed on the e-commerce. It took millions, took almost 10 years. So people, today, I can easily click and wait for the merchandise to come to me properly. Including, we are working across ministries to combat online fraud through joint initiative, including a National Online Fraud Prevention Task Force, or like online reckoning. So we have like a task force in ComDigi for that. And also, as I mentioned, we also not only invest in the infrastructure, we invest in the digital literacy at a scale. So we target like a 50 million in 5 years. People have a digital literacy, digital ethics, digital skill, digital safety, and digital culture. They are the 4 main pillars in the digital literacy. To ensuring citizens not only connected, but also digitally resilient. And trust is further enhanced by encouraging responsible platform. So platform that have operate in Indonesia, so that have a reporting channel, and also partnership with industry to proactively address harmful content and cyber threats. So this not only ComDigi by itself, but all the ecosystem have take part on this, how to build the trust in the ecosystem. I think that the first
Thank
question.
you so much. Thank you so much, Pak Sonny. I just want to quickly recap what you just shared with us. You mentioned about the guiding principle, right? Law and regulation, and that scam and fraud remains, the most important, the critical risk that we are facing today in Indonesia. I'm also intrigued by what you just shared earlier about this approach that ComDigi use, which is a trusted by design approach, and also initiatives like task force, literacy program, and also cooperation with industry players, and agree that this is whole of society approach that we need to take. It's not one actor role. It is our shared responsibility, all the players in this ecosystem. Next, I would like to turn to Pak Radhi. Pak Radhi from Grab. We know that digital platforms are a core part, if not the most important driver of Indonesia digital economy and also the user experience. I would like to ask, what is the role of platforms like Grab in building policy responding in building trust and ensuring online safety for your users, responding to this whole situation that we are facing today?
Thank you, Mbak Citra. First of all, thank you, Pak Sonny, for brought us a short nostalgic moment by mentioning some of the very old-time platform. And I still remember the day when I used COD or Rekber, right? Rekening Bersama. It's such a long time ago, and couldn't imagine that. I think this year, today, the scale and then the progression of AI is at something that I couldn't imagine like probably 10 years ago, right? So responding to the question, for Grab, we believe that safety is not only like a bonus, right? It's not something that are nice to have, but we see that as our engine, our operating license, right? the things that we believe we need to provide for every user, not only consumer, but also our driver partners, merchant, and also we have some what we call kiosk agent, right? And how do we do that? So we put a lot of investment in terms of tech partnership, also developing the human side of our ecosystem. So in terms of tech, we divide these features to two type of categories. Number one, we call this visible protections. So a feature that users can directly interact with them. We have more than 20 trust and safety features. I probably will not mention all of them, but I will mention some of my favorite. Number one is the, we call it free call and number masking. So basically, it's a combo of important contact like police, ambulance, and also send real-time notification to the designated emergency contact. The last one is on the healthy chat features. So it's also one of my favorite because we accommodate not only Indonesian language but also regional language. Basically, it's a AI-powered harmful keywords detections. And then the interesting part from it is it can prevent on a real-time basis. So it really can prevent the victim if there is any harmful or like hazardous words sending by the other side of the chat. And it also accommodate local language like the Bahasa Sunda, right, or Bahasa Padang, or like any other regional language, right? That's the first type of feature. The second one is what we call as an invisible assurance or invisible protection. This is the features that users probably not aware that we have this type of protection. So it works at the back end. For example, we have this backend system that monitors hundreds of our trust, safety, and risk rules, identify risky situation, and do necessary responding to that high-risk situation. So, and also policies, we have a lot of policies that governs the usage of data, right? Also privacy. So all in all, I guess for us, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention one thing about partnership, probably a short one. We also believe that we cannot do this alone. We need to partners with someone that have access, partner that have authority. So we are partnering as well with the government, with Dukcapil and the partner, to identify like the validity of the KTP, preventing the risk of impersonation, so we can ensure that everyone that on board in our platform is the real person with a real identity. So all in all, for us, we believe that trust must be earned on daily basis. That's why we focus not only preventing the risky situation, be it fraud, scam, safety, harassment, all type of risk, but also giving the users, giving the drivers the tools, the tools of empowerment, giving the tools for them to understand and also control their own safety and their own data. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Radhi, for highlighting these visible protections. And I didn't know that apparently Grab has hundreds of, not only one or two, but hundreds trust and safety features. And for me, I'm an avid user of Grab. I feel like the number masking is truly helpful to create a sense of safety and build trust in the ecosystem.
Digital literacy gap is also very, very high, and Indonesia has, low, medium, and high, and the high literacy is only constitute less than 5% of the whole population. So when we are talking about what kind of technical capabilities that they should have, it would be different from each group to another. So for example, the low literacy group, they would need to be able to understand which are the misinformation and hoax, and they also need to understand the low, capability of privacy understanding. So they need to know when they can share personal data, what are biometrics data, when they can share biometrics data, and so on and so forth. However, for the medium literacy, they also need to understand how to make a safe transaction. Definitely Grab has a lot of feature on that, but they need to understand, for example, the cash on delivery, COD. Based on my experience, it's very, very difficult to make people understand what COD really means, because a lot of times when the courier actually try to get money from the users, they will end up fighting, on the spot, because they don't know what COD really means. But then for the high, literacy, it's probably us. So people who are sitting down here, we are actually constitute less than the 5% of the population, because when we are talking and make our time to talk about data governance and trust safety, we already understand the importance of this topic. And I understand that the most important thing is actually the upskilling. So for the low literacy, they need to know how to do transaction in the end. For the medium, they need to know what AI is, what sandbox is. And for us who already understand all of that, we also need to keep up with the technology advancements outside Indonesia. Because outside Indonesia, they are not talking about AI anymore. They're already talking about SGI, super general intelligence. They're already talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence. And when we are here still talking about, hoax and misinformation, because we cannot differentiate what bots and, human is, it's going to be problematic to basically keep up with the, international standard. So I feel that it's the topic here is about shared responsibility is very true, because based on my experience as well in APPDI, so APPDI has been around for 4 or 5 years. So the idea is actually to create a platform for data protection officers. We have now more than 1,800 members, and we are here to basically upskill the DPO capability so that the data protection officers will always be up to date with the technology investment. But I think it's also very important to reach out not only to people through Grab, definitely, however, to reach out to startups under Sonny leadership, because under his leadership we have this startup incubators, I would say, where it is very important, because usually startups will consist of very lean engineer team, and based on my understanding working with a lot of engineers, they will focus on development, technology advancement, how to make the best feature. But then trust and safety is something that will be oversight. So that's why it's very important for the government to, to provide the platform for, companies like Grab to basically knowledge sharing, because definitely Grab is already in the global scale, and for associations to basically, providing with the knowledge transfer and the people who can, really help to upskill. So yeah, I feel like the technical capabilities may be different from one group to another, because our digital literacy gap is very huge, and shared responsibility is very true, because to basically upskill the literacy, we need everyone to, on board to do that. Thanks.
Thank you so much for pointing out the literacy gap and upskilling programs to address that kind of issues, Ibu Ardhanti. Next, I'd like to turn to Pak Wahyuni. You help your client navigate the regulatory environment and also provide advice with respect to the legal frameworks in Indonesia. I would like to ask you, are there key regulatory or institutional gaps that must be addressed to more effectively promote online safety and public trust in Indonesia? Apakah ada hal-hal yang terkait dengan aspek-aspek regulasi ataupun kelembagaan yang dapat diperbaiki untuk bisa lebih mendorong lagi keamanan di dunia maya dan membangun kepercayaan publik? To you, Pak.
Thank you, Ibu Citra. You are right, I came from private sector. I'm a professional. I used to be an academician, but not anymore, except once in a while. I came to university. Well, we talk about governance, trust, safety, and transformation. Those terms are not new. We have already learned about those terms since many, many years ago, implemented in different topics, different sectors, different matters. So we should learn not only the meaning of the terms, but the failures of us in implementing the terms. And this is what I am, not only as a professional, but until today, I'm also in the board of Kapindo as a member of the panel of experts, but also my past period as the head of the Permanent Committee on Free Trade Agreement negotiations. We like to have beautiful words, call those beautiful words. What is more important than that is that we are not only busy with beautiful words, but we also make those words fully implemented. And that's why when we talk governance, for instance, I think we also need to talk about risk and compliance. So the word we only talk about today about data governance, but we also, I think, need to start talking about risk and governance and compliance and make them integrate under the words, the terms GRC. GRC indeed is not a new term. So learning from the past, I think we have to start something concrete and integrated. And secondly, we also need to understand how limited public-private consultation is. Yeah, thank you. Government has made their efforts and taken initiatives, among others, to produce a number of regulations, either in the form of parliamentary acts, government regulations, even last year, surat edaran, circular letter, which we know as a lawyer has no binding effect. But this law, in many instances, have been drafted without or with very limited participation from the public, not even the academicians. Even in many laws, we don't have academic paper supporting the law. So this has to stop. We have to start conducting transparent, regular public-private consultations, especially in this area, technology. I like technology very much. I actually not only studied at the law school in Bandung, but I also studied at the Bandung Institute of Technology. I am a mathematician. So I know how important AI, how important the applications of technology, digital technology for our life, for the business, and for the governments also. So public-private consultation is very important because we cannot control the knowledge only inside the government. We cannot control the knowledge only even among the industry players. And this is another problem we have in Indonesia. Industry players, they don't talk to each other also. Not only government don't talk to the private sector, the industry players don't talk to each other. And I can testify this, I can validate this from my term until about 2.5 years ago as the head of the Permanent Committee for the Pre-Trade Agreement negotiation, where I and our team had to collect so many materials from industries and prepare a position paper which will be submitted to the government negotiators. Very difficult to get information from the private sector, and even very difficult to get them talk to each other. And we know in this period, everything is connected. Sonny talked about connectivity. Connectivity not only between Indonesia, spots in the west part of Indonesia to the middle, to the east, but also connectivity among industry players, between governments and private sectors, between central government and regional government. All this have to be seen as an ecosystem. That's why we need to have a holistic view. So that's the element I would like to propose. So with that, I think we could start talking about your question, Ibu Citra. Yeah? Firstly, of course, the government needs to accelerate what they have achieved, what they have done so far, and mostly, I mean, notably, for instance, PDP law. Yeah, I'm a member of her organization, APPDI. Yeah? She's the Secretary General. So we need to accelerate the implementing regulation. We have to set up the Data Protection Authority. We thought that, we don't know. Even lawyers like me. Of course, I can read the GDPR text. We can read case law in Europe, but that's in Europe. We want to also understand how our data protection, personal data protection law will be implemented in Indonesia. And so many questions, detailed questions, we cannot answer. Just for a simple reason, we don't have implementing regulations yet. It's already late. It should be last year. And then we don't have data protection authority, which make us even more difficult. Many of our clients said, oh, Payon, don't spend so much money. It's very difficult not to get money. Let's wait until the DPA is established. Because no sanction so far. And in Indonesia, if no sanction, enforcement will be difficult, right? Will be very difficult. So that's the two things. The third thing is the fragmentation of our regulations. PDP law is not one law fits for all. We need regulations for cybersecurity. We need regulations for other aspects of technology. And this fragmentation of regulations, I think, is a danger for the country. Because we have come to the era of not only digital trust, digital safety, but also digital security. So maybe this another old term, security, we should bring in digital trust, digital safety, and digital security. We thought having a consolidated effort, it will be very difficult to talk about safety, trust, and security. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Safety, trust, and security. It's also, I am very interested of what you've shared with us, Pak Wahyuni, to emphasize the importance of transparent, regular public-private consultations, and that your recommendations on accelerating PDP law as well as to make the regulation less fragmented. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think what I'm hearing is that online trust is multifaceted, and just to reiterate from what Pak Sonny, Ibu Ardhanti, Pak Radhi, dan juga Pak Wahyuni have shared with us, it truly requires government leadership, industry responsibility, professional capacity, and legal clarity, as well as whole society approach, because everyone has a role to play here. Now, let's dive deeper into one of the most crucial elements, which is data governance. And I think Pak Wahyuni has touched on this a bit earlier. So Pak Wahyuni, let's build on your thoughts as we focus on data governance. What are the crucial and fundamental parts of PDP law that you mentioned earlier, particularly the implementation part that we must get right in order to ensure that data governance is effective?
Thank you. Yeah. Ibu Ardhanti is the Secretary General. She should talk about this. Personal Data Protection Law of Indonesia was drafted after GDPR, mostly. But some parts actually were made in Indonesian way. We may not agree, especially for me. I got my study in Holland. I continued in Canada, so I think it's a bit shaky. For instance, like the 3 days magic word. How come in a very complex incident, cyber attack, we can submit with details within 3 days? So those things, I don't know who brings that into that law. But we need, of course, implementing regulations covering many aspects. Yeah. Data processing, assessments. Already discussion now. Who can certify DPO? CAP or BSN or BSNP? For me, we have too many already organizations. So what is more important is to make sure that the certification process is correct, conducted on the basis of approved international standard, not only local standard, international standard, because with data, very easy to move across the border. Secondly, also about the DPA, I already mentioned about Data Protection Agency or Authority. Very important not only to establish that organization, but also to bring in competent resources, competent people to come in, who will bring integrity into the process. We have problems with many organizations, government agencies in Indonesia, where after establishment, they are only busy with the tick list. Okay, they have the list and then the tick, and they don't bring substance. With technology, with the digital era coming, we have to bring in also competent people, integrity, and also good process, code of conduct, and so on and so on. So those things are very important. Without that, I think we cannot move. We just basically go to sandbox again, although now we have the law, but actually it is a sandbox because we don't know. And that in Europe, they learn also not only from GDP,
thankfully for Komdiji to give the opportunity. And usually we talk about kearifan lokal, which is basically fit for purpose, regulatory banking. And I feel like Indonesia, like I mentioned, has a very high digital literacy gap. The high literacy people are only less than 5%, which is very, very shocking for 270 million people. And however, Indonesia, they are all very technology savvy. Most of us are in the social media. Most of us has WhatsApp. So something that I really think would be relevant is how we can actually upskill these people using what they listen and what they see. A lot of times when we do policy campaigns or features introduction, in other countries it would be very prescriptive. Everything would be in documents, but Indonesians, we need to be careful, but we also need to be creative. So for example, I think governments already open several policy consultancy. However, from industry perspective, we also do a lot of gathering for our ecosystem. So for example, for a ride-hailing company, they have a lot of different ecosystems. So there is driver partner, there is MSMEs, and if you're talking about privacy, we cannot only rely on the platform or the company, because sometimes the data breach can happen in the driver. The data breach can also happen in the MSMEs because they also have certain data that they process to be able to provide their services. Hence, talking about how the uniqueness of Indonesia landscape, it's also very important to engage these people who are the messenger to the users, to the data subjects, to be on board to our campaign or our ecosystem. So for example, a lot of times ride-hailing companies, maybe Mas Rida can mention it even further, they engage driver partners to be able to operate number masking, for example, and actually explain what number masking is to the users. Because I remember maybe 3 years ago when number masking is introduced in the industry, a lot of people are very confused what number masking is, and sometimes they don't even pick up the call because it's an unknown number. So it needs a lot of effort for a company like Grab to basically educate the drivers to be the messenger of the company, to in the end explain it to the users why number masking is important, and this is our effort to protect your personal data. Another example would be on the MSMEs, because a lot of MSMEs, they probably have access to your address or your orders in terms of food. If you order it every single day, people can actually map what kind of food that you like, and that's also personal data. So it's also important for these MSMEs to understand, usually they are low literacy, because the MSMEs in Indonesia is really like a mom and pop on the street. And they do not even know what privacy is, and they do not even know how to do content moderation, for example. And it is important to basically engage them, the MSMEs to be the messenger, so that they, not only that they can protect, for example, their employees' data, but they also can be your messenger to the public and explain it, the feature and, for example, new regulations, new policies, because company and government can do so far, and if the ecosystems are not engaged, it's going to be ineffective to basically disseminate the informations and the policies to the end user, which are data subjects.
Thank you so much for pointing out that this literacy gap, which is less than 5%, so that's a shocking number for me, and which is very contrast with the fact that Indonesia is actually very social media / digital savvy. I think what we have here is some kind of leapfrog where in terms of access it's quite high, but then in terms of literacy that's another thing. And that's why local wisdom, as you mentioned, kearifan lokal in policy making is truly imperative. Now I'd like to go to Pak Sonny Pak Sonny, as new digital regulation emerge, there's a risk of this regulatory overlap or probably confusion from the people. How can the government ensure regulatory clarity while also building a coherent data governance framework that support both innovation and also the enforcement? Pak.
Oh, thank you for the question. I agree with a few comments on previous question. So, indeed, regulatory clarity is crucial, Pak, in sustaining both legal certainty and innovation agility. So, from its previously already mentioned, terlihat jelas in the structure of the ComDigi is very different. Right now in the ecosystem we have a specific directorate for AI and new emerging technology. That's like we need a certainty directorate to handle these matters. So that's what we focus on for the next 5 years. I want to add also about the data protection agency, about the agency. Probably I will explain in bahasa. So perubahan restrukturisasi kementerian itu bikin effort, Pak. Jadi sampai hari ini kita masih ada problem kantor di mana. Sampai hari ini kita belum bisa deploy program because the budget belum disahkan di DPR. Jadi keterlambatan itu karena ada banyak perubahan mendasar di struktur kementerian. Ini kementerian ComDigi hanya berubah nama ya dan berubah nama di internal. Orang-orangnya masih sama rata-rata. Itu pun berubahnya sangat. Apalagi yang baru banget seperti Badan Perlindungan Data ini. Jadi it will be took time, Pak, for implementation, dan saya ngerasa benar, Pak. It's really if we try to understand the context for our directorate see this as a Indonesia target 4,500 trillion rupiah in digital economy in 2030. But faces key challenges, and the main is imbalance distribution of value. There are three main issues that we identify. The first is fragmented policy and institutional coordination, because this can cause inconsistent strategy and confuse business in industries. That we already know about that. So that's why the ministry have a specific Directorate General for the Ecosystem Digital. Previously, it's like APTIKA. It's very wide from the government, businesses, and also for the masyarakat or the people. And also the second, the problem is unequal infrastructure and digital access. So it limits the economic growth outside Java. And it increased the digital and social gap that Mbak Ardhanti said. Probably the 5% on Java. We should see the first user of the internet in Papua. The first user internet in Ambon, in Kalimantan. What's about that? We need to protect that bottom users in the internet, because when they have access to internet, they will believe everything that have sent them. It's different right now, right? The content is delivered to them. Not we search the content. Imagine if someone have connectivity, just have a cell phone. The first time is SMS will come, you win something, you win from this. This is the first trick of the not but also about the digital literacy about judi online. It's very destructive, Pak. Judi online, because everything they thought is a business, not a gambling. This is business, online business through that. And then the last one, the context for the economy, as you mentioned about innovation, low commercialization and innovation and talent means that ideas and skill are not being turned into a real products, not being turned into real businesses or economic value. In Indonesia, we see a lot of companies become big in Indonesia, because Indonesia, I think around 40% of the population of Southeast Asia is Indonesia, almost 280 billions. The age bracket is around 40 to 20. This is like a bonus demographic. So if you put anything in Indonesia, it will become viral from TikTok or any other startups that want to deploy in Indonesia. I think it's, but the as a user, not as a benefit to the economy for them. So we see we need to have more commercialization on innovation and how to create jobs in the digital economy, because we see in Indonesia right now there are two kind of especially about digitalization, disruptive. And I see in another region or another country, like Microsoft, they have a disruption fund to funding the people that lost their job because of technology through reskilling and upskilling. So it's it's complex problem, not from the data privacy point of view, but also in the bigger economic point of view. We need to have prepare the disruption of the technology or the like AI. I don't know thing about AI, Pak. I think I know about AI 3 months ago, but after VO3, I don't know nothing. Like we talk about the digital ID, I don't think we need that. But after AI video, and my friend asked me, how can I identify this is real person or AI? That's I mean, yeah, you need to use the orb, digital ID to scan your retina, but nobody knows. We are preparing ourselves for the technology that we doesn't know, and to solve problems that we don't know yet. So this is a very interesting moment. So I think we have to balance how we adjust the regulation and see, and also I see the slide, predict the technology. I think the regulation should be dynamic. So I think from that, my point of view.
Thank you so much, Pa. It's truly indeed complex, but then as you said earlier, apparently this is a good insight shared with us today, that actually the structural changes within the ComDigis is actually one of the things that the government does to address the need for to provide certainty and agility in government making. Thank you so much. Now, I would like to go to Pak Radhi. We know that data laws must protect users, but also enable innovation and sustainable business models. Probably in the interest of time, Pak, if you can share very quickly what challenges and opportunities do you see?
Below, for us, it's marks a significant milestone for Indonesian digital maturity. And then the way we see the challenge and the opportunity we need to align those two things, those three things with the expectations from the regulatory, right? While keeping our user protection at the core. The second one is probably the bigger question is how we are going to find the right balance. And it's really subjective. It's really contextual. How are we going to find the right balance between the compliance and also innovation that we aim to do for the next few years? I think that that's the two challenges that we observe. The second one is on the opportunity. Number one, we believe that this PDP law presents us a valuable opportunity on how we are going to translate data protection into everyday empowerment. The second one is we can only achieve this by embedding the principle into our products. So trust and safety and also privacy by design. And also, I think Bu Ardhanti also mentioned about public education, right? How we are going to educate our, in this case, our ecosystem users, right? Starting from the very basic on what is privacy, right? I think we are, everyone that sits here probably privileged to have that knowledge, but not probably some of other people outside here. And the last one is the opportunity that we see. We need to do this collaboration, right? So I personally believe the concept of collaboration through that pentahelix concept. So not only government, but we also have academician, we also have media, we also have a society that needs to collaborate together, so we can have, so we can land on the situation, or in this case probably like digital privacy maturity level that probably can make all of us here proud and call us as an Indonesian. I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. I enjoy our conversation, but yeah, since we have limited time, I'm sure many of you, the participants, have questions. Our sincere apologies. Please feel free to reach out to our esteemed speakers after this session. Thank you. But now, let's do a quick fire round for some key takeaways from our speakers. Bapak Ibu, earning trust is one thing, but keeping it even harder, I guess. So in one sentence, what one principle or value that do you think will be best for creating best collaboration models to build a safer and more trusted digital space? I will go to Pak Wahyuni first. One sentence ya, Pak.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry.
Yeah. Let's bring to ourselves a sense of urgency, but cannot be just blank. We have to also bring competence, integrity, and again, collaborative actions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, yeah, Pak Radhi, please feel free.
Probably one sentence is honor. So means that we do the right thing, even no one control, no one see us. And if it's not, even when it's not the easiest time of ours.
Wonderful. Next, Ibu Ardhanti.
Yeah, I think Indonesia digital is here. So trust and safety is something that will determine our inclusivity, sustainability, and resilience. So collaboration is very important, not only for, between government and private, but also the ecosystem and society.
Fantastic.
I will combine.
Okay. That's very smart, Pak.
So I think we must see it more on broader way. The first is we need to see it as a holistic approach, and then also inclusive targets, no one left behind, and then the collaborative implementation. At the end of the day, its objective is to increase Indonesia competitiveness in digital.
Thank you so much. We've now reached the end of today's session. Before we officially close the event, allow me to highlight a few key takeaways from today's discussion. Apparently, we can summarize our conversation, ladies and gentlemen, in 3 Ps. So policy, practice, and partnerships. First, on policy, a strong legal foundation like the PDP law is essential, but it must be clear, implementable, and also future ready. Second, on practice, building trust requires day-to-day commitment from institutions, professionals, and platforms. And last one is partnerships. No single actor can do it alone. Cross-sectoral, cross-regional, cross-industry collaboration is key to safeguarding Indonesia's digital future. So at the end of the day, digital society protection is a function of policy, practice, and partnerships. On behalf of CIPS and Tech for Good Institute, we thank you all for your participation in this session. We hope the discussion has been insightful and also meaningful. Now we would like to invite CIPS COO, Mbak Antea, to come on stage and present tokens of appreciation to our panelists. Mbak Thea. And thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. We hope to see you in the future CIPS and TFGI events. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang.
Waalaikumsalam. Terima kasih Mbak Citra for the session. Bapak boleh satu kali lagi one round of applause untuk para narasumber kita. Setelah ini akan ada sesi. Setelah ini akan ada sesi selanjutnya, tapi sebelum kita memasuki sesi yang selanjutnya akan ada makan siang dulu ya Bapak Ibu ya di beranda restoran di lantai 2. Baru nanti kita akan kembali ke ruangan 12.50 untuk mengikuti sesi diskusi yang kedua. Untuk alat-alat device interpretation boleh dikembalikan ke meja registrasi ya Bapak Ibu. Harap dapat dikembalikan ke meja registrasi dan kita akan kembali 12.50 ya Bapak Ibu. Terima kasih banyak. Bapak Ibu panelis boleh kita foto bersama dulu ya di panggung ya. Pak Sonny boleh naik dulu, Mbak Citra silakan. Silakan untuk termasuk Keith and also Mas Hafiz. Silakan kembali ke atas panggung untuk foto bersama. Iya. Boleh dibantu Mas Dewa untuk foto bersama? Iya. Oke. Iya. Dari TFGI silakan. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now it's from CIPS. Sorry, yeah. One last photo. From CIPS. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much for all panelists.